Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello friends, this is Vijay. Welcome to ForumIAS Hindu Daily. In our today's news discussion, we will be seeing the topics in the slide. The first one, it is related to the divorce. Yesterday, Supreme Court, it came up with one important pronouncement. Then the second one, it is about the importance of constitutional punctuality. Then the third one, it is related to India's leads in laundering Russian oil. The Finland-based organization, they came up with one term. We will be discussing the article in a brief. Then the fourth one, ASEAN-India Maritime Exercise. Then the fifth one, China's amended anti-espionage law. So these two topics are much smaller, and here we will be having a brief discussion. And without any delay, let us dive into the article part. The Supreme Court says it can wait for the consensual divorce. This is the first one. Then this is the second one. It is about the constitutional punctuality. In these days, we have been witnessing the tussle between the governor and the chief minister. So the article is all about it. Then the third one, India leads in laundering the Russian oil. This is the fourth one. It is about the AIM, ASEAN-India Maritime Exercise. This is the last one of the day. It is about the China's recent amendment on anti-espionage law. And kindly go through the first article. The background is Apex Court pronounced that it can wait for the consensual divorce. Guys, marriage is an important institution. It is a social institution and it is a relationship which is socially approved and sanctioned by the customs and law. And today it acts as a cultural mechanisms which ensures the continuation of the family, right? So it is more or less a universal social institution in India. And here let us discuss something about structural changes happening in the marriage. The marriage system, it had undergone several changes since independence. The first one is the ambition. In traditional societies, the primary objective of the marriage will be dharma or duty. So they consider marriage as a duty. But in today's modern context, people have been longing for the lifelong companionship. So this was the primary object. This is the primary objective in modern context. And guys, today traditional forms of marriages like polyandry and polygyny are legally prohibited. And nowadays mostly monogamous marriages are practiced. And for polyandry, you can take several examples from the tribal community. And I think Nayars from Kerala, they also practice their polyandry. And today the average age of marriage also has gone up. And pre-puberty marriages have been eliminated. So these are the few things you should know. Especially for boy, actually today the age stands around the 21, and for girls the marriageable age is 18. And these days we have been witnessing the relaxation in the legislative provisions for divorce, particularly in the urban. Okay, so that we should accept, because most of the marriage and relationships and all, it have been getting break because of the incompatibility. So today, to satisfy the demands of the society, the legislative mechanisms and the judicial mechanisms, they have been coming up with certain relaxations. And the last one, the impact of the prevailing social trends, how it have been structurally and functionally impacting the marriage. Because these days, people have been getting exposed to various prevailing social trends in abroad nations. So there, the ideology and all have been impacting the structure and the function of the marriage. So this is all about the structural changes. And with respect to the Apex Court pronouncement, in today, actually, if marriage is incompatible means legal provisions have been favoring the divorce. But guys, till today, in the process of divorce, almost 6 to 18 months time period have been provided to test the compatibility between the applicants. So if the provided time period, it results in compatibility means, then they will draw their petitions in an amicable way, and they will extend their marriage life. So in this context, yesterday the Apex Court pronounced that there is no need to wait or no need to provide the breathing time in the cases of certain marriages where the compatibility is no more a possible factor. Let us have a brief about the waiting timeline for divorce. The 1 year period is stipulated in the section 28(1) of the Special Marriage Act. Okay, section 28 of the Special Marriage Act, it have been insisting 1 year time period. Section 13B of Hindu Marriage Act and section 32B of Parsi Marriage Act have been also insisting the 1 year time period. But section 10A of the Indian Divorce Act, it have been stating that 2 year time period has to be provided for the applicants who are waiting for their divorce. But the Kerala High Court in the year of 2010, in the case of Soumya and Thomas versus the Union of India, they stated very clearly that the minimum mandatory period should be 1 year instead of the 2 years. Then, Article 8 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it declares that everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution or by the law. So this is what it have been insisting by the Article 8 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So based on these tenets, the Supreme Court, it is ready to use the Article 142. So this Article 142, it is highly important for prelims. What it states, Article 142, it provides the discretionary power to the Supreme Court, as it states that the Supreme Court, in the exercise of its jurisdictions, may pass such decree or any such order is necessary for doing complete justice in any cause or matter pending before it. So, to prevail the justice, it empowers the Supreme Court to issue the order or decree. Guys, because of the enormous power given in the article, it actually makes the Apex Court as a powerful institution not only in India but in the entire world. In the judicial order, yesterday they clearly pronounced that we can provide dissolution to the irretrievable breakdown of marriages under the Hindu Marriage Act. Here, with respect to the Hindu Marriage Act, it didn't cover Christians, Islamic people, Parsis and Jains, I think. So they won't be covered under the Hindu Marriage Act. The remaining all people will be covered under the Hindu Marriage Act. Okay. Guys, today, especially after the globalization, ideas like liberalism, individualism, then the privacy, all have been lining against the traditional traits of the marriage. So in this situation, judiciary also reforming the society suitable to the demands of the values prevailing in the society in a just way. And in the judgments, they pronounced that there should be an established fact to prove the irretrievable nature of the modern society. So, if the facts are substantiated means, then they will be using the Article 142 to provide relief to the applicants. Guys, in this context, I think we will be seeing more article in the upcoming day. Let us discuss very brief in it. And in the society also, you will be seeing by this judgment, there will be both positive and negative aspects for each and every judicial judgments, right? So for this case also, there will be both positive and negative aspects from the public. Anyway, these provisions have been touching the traits of the social fabric. So in upcoming time, the Apex Court should take some cautious measures to resolve the issue in an amicable way. So with this note, let us move on to the next article. The article is about the importance of the constitutional punctuality. And here they have been discussing the tussle between the legislative assemblies of various states and the governor, and the issue related to the timeline in providing the assent to the bill. So in the background information, Article 200 had been given. So Article 200 of the Indian Constitution, it outlines the process for a bill, which was passed by the Legislative Assembly of a state. And after the passage of the assembly, it will be presented to the governor. The governor, he can either give assent, or he can withhold the assent, or he can reserve the bill for the consideration of the president. So once he reserves the bill for the consideration of the president means, then thereafter, the governor don't have any command over the bill. The governor, he may also return the bill with a message requesting certain reconsiderations by the house or houses. If there are both the assembly or council means, we can mention it, the bill should be considered by both the houses. And the second case, this is the Shamsher Singh and ANR versus State of Punjab. So Shamsher Singh was a probation judge, and actually I don't want to get into the case. Here in this case, actually, a 7-judge constitution bench, they clearly stated that the presidents and governors, okay, they all are acting as a custodians of all the executive and other powers provided by the article. In that case, they should exercise their formal constitutional powers only upon and in accordance with the advice of their ministers. So they don't have any right to act in the way which was not provided by the assembly. So this is what it was stipulated in the Shamsher Singh and ANR versus State of Punjab in the year of 1974. And here is the introduction. Tamil Nadu government, they recently passed a resolution seeking time frame on giving assent to the bill by the governor. In recent times, we came across there have been a tussle between the governor and the elected legislative assembly in states in almost all the corners of India, whether it be in Tamil Nadu or in Delhi or in Telangana or in West Bengal. The situation is same, right? So governors have been taking indefinite time in giving the assent to the bills passed by the legislative assembly, and it have been undermining the ideals of the publicly elected governments, right? So in this context, the author quotes that Article 200, he actually quoting about the Article 200, it provides the power to the governor to give a assent or to reserve or withhold the bill. And if he is reserving the bill means, as I already told you, the president will be overseeing the bill, and he approves the bill means it will get passed. Else he will return the bill. Then usually the legislative assembly, they will incorporate certain necessary amendments in the bill, then it will get passed. But once if the bill is reserved for the president means, I am repeating this, okay. Once if the bill is reserved for the president means, in the second passage also, the bill will be directly goes to the president. If he approves means, it will become act. Else he may return again or reject the bill. But there is no mandatory rule to provide consent for the bill as governors do generally, okay. In state cases, if the assembly is passing the bill and if the governors are reviewing the bill means, they can give a return, they can return the bill. But with respect to the president, the constitution doesn't mandate the president to give the assent if the assembly is passing the bill for the second time means, okay. I hope you would have understand. But this article 200, it doesn't provide any time frame for the governor to give his assent to the bill. It actually creating the tussle between the assembly and the governor as we have been witnessing. Moreover, recently, the Telangana government also facing the same cases. In the apex court, the case actually went to the apex court. Apex court clearly stated that there should be a time frame. It states that the governor should not take indefinite time in giving the assents. So the idea of constitutional punctuality was iterated by the apex court, which means that the constitutional officers and office bearers, they need to keep the ideals of constitution in delivering the duty, okay. So then actually the author have been mentioning about the Shamsher Singh case. As I already told you, the apex court in the year of 1974, they clearly stated that the constitutional office bearers like a president or governor, they should reflect the idea of what the assembly is thinking, okay. So this is what the pronouncement, it came through the Shamsher Singh case. Then actually the writer, he quotes about certain international examples. In UK, till 1708, there was no veto, okay. There was no royal veto in UK till the year 1708. In US, there is a 10-day timeline is there, okay. So 10-day timeline will be providing to the president. Whether he doesn't sign or vetoes the bill, it actually will become an act. Therefore, the author states that the requirement of time frame is mandatory because we need to evolve the timeline window for the tier 1 constitutional posts to eliminate the delays in legislation. So here he have been mentioning about the 10th schedule of the constitution where the president and the governor and all will be mentioned. So he have been insisting that they need to follow the principles of the constitutional punctuality. And guys, all these issues are connected to the appointment of the governor itself. Okay, because today the persons will be recommended by the central government and the president will be appointing the governor. But here we need to make certain changes to ensure the butter smooth coordination between the governor and the state legislative assembly. Now let us discuss what are the way forward we can do. The first one, reimagining the appointment procedure. It would be appropriate to devise a committee which comprises of the Prime Minister, Home Minister, then the Speaker of Lok Sabha and the Chief Minister of the state. So if the committee is devised in such a way, means it will ensure the butter smooth coordination between the center and the states, because here the Chief Minister is also having a voice in the selection of the governor. Then the second one, neutral constitution stand. The governor is supposed to be an independent, non-partisan person. Okay, he or she is, they are supposed to keep the interest of the state in mind. That should be their priority. Okay, so these are the few things they should aim by. Then the third one, framing a code of conduct. There is a need to devise a code of conduct that should define certain norms and principles, and that should govern the governor's decision with respect to the discretion. Okay, so the governor in certain cases they can act in a discretion, but it should be rationally proved. The act should be rationally proved. So this is all about the measures what we can take forward with respect to the appointment. So with this note, let us dive on to the next article. This is the third article. India leads in laundering Russian oil and selling to Europe. The report says, guys, in last February, the Russia started invading the Ukraine, and the Russian war machines, they have been fueling by the dollar inflow through the oil exports. We all well known, the war started in the month of February 2022. So in this context, to control the fire output of the Russian war machines, the Western countries and the US, they imposed the ban on Russian oil exports. So US also imposed a ban, and Western countries also, they came up with a certain ban on the Russian exports. So among them, the G7, actually they came up with the price cap arrangement, because they can't impose the blanket ban on the Russian exports. So that's what they came up with, the price cap arrangement on their Russian crude exports. So according to that provisions, the $60 should be the price for the Russian oil. Whether Russia is exporting or someone is buying the Russian oil, they should pay the $60 alone. So this is what they G7 had been insisting. Here in this context, the Finland-based organization, they came up with the term Landromat countries. Okay, the Landromat countries, this is very important. Why they named it as a Landromat? Because certain countries, they are laundering their Russian oil and they are selling it to the West. This is what the report have been insisting. This action defeats the objective of the price cap. Actually, it is true. It actually functioning as a backfire for the Western entities only. And in Landromat countries, India is also there. Okay, then China was there, UAE, then Turkey, then Singapore. These are the 5 countries are in the Landromat list. So these countries, they actually whitening the Russian oil and they are selling it to a third party in the international market. And these third parties will be the Western countries. From Russia, okay, these 5 countries, they have been importing the crude and they are selling it to the Western countries. Okay, so here the Russian oil is getting whitened. This is what the report have been mentioning. And this whitening of the Russian oil is carried out by these Landromat countries. Now let us discuss about the challenges and ineffectiveness of the ban. So the price cap is slightly below the marginal price. Initially the embargo and the price cap scheme has a little bite, but over the time the Russian crude, it is slightly below the marginal price. Right now the Brent is selling around some $76 and the Russian crude is selling around $68. And here the existing oil profits, it took almost nearly 6 months for the G7 to come up with a price cap arrangement of $60, but we don't know on what basis how they are imposing $60 as the price cap, right? So, but these $60 price cap arrangement, it actually benefiting the countries like India, China and all. Okay, so this is also one of the challenge for the West, because it have been acting against the interest of the Western countries. Then the third one, availability of the diversion routes. The price cap also, it doesn't fully address the blends, because in the G7 notifications, they didn't mention anything about the blends. So if India is blending the oil from Iran and Russia means, then the ban and all, it won't come into the scenario. So they didn't address the blends, and these countries, these land rover countries, they actually using the loophole in the G7 notification, and they are fetching huge profits in the international market. Now let us discuss about the India's position. Despite the US-led sanctions, India has decided to not just continue with, but also to double its trade with Moscow. So this is what India is determined, and India, it actually doubled the trade. And here we are getting the oil in a discounted price. Okay, almost India is paying around $64 per barrel. Okay, but for Brent from for Brent from Saudi Arabia and Iran and all, we are paying above $76. Okay, and the Finance Ministry and the External Affairs Ministry, they clearly stated that we are having a huge mass of population. They are living below the poverty line, and meanwhile, India is also promoting its growth, economic growth. So we are having huge energy crunch. So there will be a sustained need for the crude oil. This is what the statement of Finance Ministry and the External Ministry have been stating. And with respect to the G7 price cap, still India is non-committal to the price cap. And we are also providing some premiums to the Russia, even though we are purchasing in a very low price, but still we are providing some additional premiums to the Russian crude oil. Now let us discuss about the Brent and the Western Texas Intermediate. The Brent crude oil, it originates from the oil fields in the North Sea. Okay, so this North Sea, it was locating between the Shetland Island and the Norway. West Texas Intermediate, it is actually sourced from the US oil fields. Primarily, in the name itself, actually it was there, the West Texas, right? So the oil fields in the West Texas, Louisiana, then North Dakota and all have been providing West Texas Intermediate. And with respect to the West Texas, they are having very lower API, which means it is a scale. It mentions the density. So if the oil is lower API means, then the density will be very low. And the West Texas Intermediate, it is having very low sulfur. Okay. So these are the few facts you should know. And the Brent is having high API, which means the density is very high, and the sulfur content in Brent also very high. And these days, the West Texas Intermediate, it is having very low sulfur content, which is in the range of 0.24%. Okay, because we are taking enormous initiatives to fight against the climate change, right? So that's what we are supposed to use, low sulfur fuel. The West Texas Intermediate have been providing low sulfur fuel, whereas Brent is having high sulfur. Here the sulfur is in the range of 0.4%. Okay, but comparatively 16 points lower than the Brent, the West Texas Intermediate have been providing low sulfur fuel. And the benchmark prices you would have heard in the news, the Brent crude prices in the international market, the OPEC you might have known, right? So the OPECs have been depending upon the benchmark prices of the Brent. But in the US, the benchmark price was determined by the sales which was happened on the West Texas Intermediate. So if OPEC is taking Brent as a benchmark means, obviously Russia will also will be here. So Russia is also a part of OPEC plus countries, and therefore the crude what we are importing from Russia, it is a Brent crude. Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. Inaugural ASEAN-India Maritime Exercise in South China Sea from today. So in these times, we are conducting multiple maritime exercise and air exercise with ASEAN countries. So AIM is the name of the exercise, ASEAN India Maritime Exercise in South China Sea from today. So here they had given that the Indian naval ships Satpura and Delhi have been traveling to the ASEAN region, and they will be participating in this exercise, especially which was going to happen in the South China Sea. And you might have known these times the South China is becoming a huge importance for all the countries in the not only in the Southeast Asian landscape but also for India, because the crude what we are importing from Russia is also coming through the South China Sea also. So that's what the sea line in the South China is very important, and Chinese aggression it is in excess in the South China Sea. Therefore, to counter the Chinese aggressions, the India and ASEAN have been conducting the AIM exercise in the South China Sea. And here they had given that AIM will provide an opportunity for Indian Navy and ASEAN navies to work together. Okay, so they can engage in the combating the poaching and the maritime threats and all they will be dealing with. And here it is given that ions. And before that, we should see the IMAX. The IMAX exercise it was happened in the year of 2022. The exercise witnessed the participation of 15 out of the 25 member nations of the IONS. So, the aim of the exercise to enhance the interoperability in the HADR, human assistance and disaster relief operations. Though this exercise, it has seen a significant stepping stone for regional navies to collaborate and respond collectively to the natural disasters. And this exercise, it was happened in the region of Goa. So, it happened in the year of 2022. Now let us come to the IONS, Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. So IONS it is a premier forum for cooperating and collaborating among the navies of the littoral states of the Indian Ocean region. So the inaugural IONS was in the year of 2008. It was happened in Delhi. So IONS it is a voluntary initiative that seeks to increase the maritime cooperation among the navies of littoral states of Indian Ocean region by providing open and inclusive forum for discussion of regionally relevant maritime issues. What are the issues we are having in the Indian Ocean region? The expansion of China is one, then the pirate threats are there. So these are all the few issues it will be dealing by the nations in the IONS, Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. Then next one, what are the areas of cooperation between India and ASEAN? In the economic domain, ASEAN is the India's fourth largest trading partner. Okay, so it is the fourth largest trading partner, ASEAN, and India signed a free trade agreement in goods in 2009, and it also signed the FTA in services in the year of 2014. For goods, it was in 2009, and for services, it was in the year of 2014. So these are the few basics you should know. Both ASEAN and India, they have also adopted a joint statement announcing the elevation of the existing strategic partnership to the comprehensive strategic partnership. So previously it was a strategic partnership. Now actually the negotiations have been going on to elevate it to a comprehensive strategic partnership. And in the domain of peace and security, the two sides they have been reaffirmed the importance of maintaining peace, stability, and maritime safety. And apart from these things, overflight freedom also in consideration in the Indo-Pacific region. And the financial assistance domain, we are having certain funding arrangements like ASEAN India Cooperation Fund and Asia India Green Energy Fund. So the ASEAN India Green Fund, it have been providing capital to the tech sectors who are involving in the green energy segment. And in the connectivity segment, India have been undertaking several connectivity projects like IMT, India Myanmar Thailand Highway, and the Kaladan multimodal project. Okay, so these are the few basic things you should know about the areas of cooperation between the India and ASEAN region. Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. China's amended anti-espionage law. So we should know about the background. In recent times, the China have been naming the informers to the foreign countries from high profile segment. So China, that's what suspects that they shared certain confidential informations to the links in US, Europe and in India. So this is what the China have been thinking. Therefore, it amended the anti-espionage law to provide the expanded scope by including activities related to spying and national security and all. So in the amendment, they actually included the spying and national security. In this act, actually, through the amendment, they broadened the scope by incorporating two other main phrases. The first one is whole of society, and the second one, foreign enterprises and the rightist groups, which means from now onwards, it can search and seize the any material or any data from the premises of the foreign embassy also. If China suspects any embassy means they can order search and seizure. So, and guys, China is having considerable presence of foreign nationals as academicians and students, employees, etc. from other nations, right? So even Indian entities are operating in China, especially in health, pharma, and IT segments. So this amendment, it will create some chilling effect in the foreign relations of China with other countries. This is what the article also have been mentioning. So somewhere I have found here. Yes, the amended law is likely to have a chilling impact both within China and beyond. Guys, these days the competition between China and Western powers have been more intense. So to get some upper hand in the race, China have been doing like these acts. And here we should know the significance of these amendments with respect to the context from India and from other foreign nations. But before that, I would say that you no need to read this part. What prompted this change and all, you no need to read this portion and here the intro part to here. That's more than enough, because here they had been given certain stories. We don't need that. Now let us see the significance. The nightmare for foreign embassies. Okay, so with this act, China might screw the embassies of foreign nations on its own whims and fancies. So it is going to create repercussions in the foreign relations between China and other countries. And the second one, with respect to the academicians and the students. So China have been providing cost affordable educations. So lots of students from other foreign destinations have been studying in China. So if China is tailoring any cases against them means their career will be ending up in a turmoil. So you know most of the foreign going students, they will be having some huge debts in the form of education loan. So if they are tailoring any case means it will finish their career. So this is the second significant. Then the third one is about the entities. The phrase, it clearly mentioned about the foreign enterprises. So it also includes the MNCs operating in China. It also includes Indian based MNCs also. So this amendment, it will destabilize their mindset and it will affect their future investment plans in a massive scale. So this is the third point. And the fourth one, you might have known, already the Chinese citizens are ripped out of their rights to lead a peaceful life in their private spaces. And this amendment, it will also mount some add-on pressure on them. And fifthly, if other sovereign powers, they came up with same provisions in their national law means, the international peace and security will be under question. So this is the fifth one you can quote. And with this note, let us dive on to the question part. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the general difference between the plant and animal cells? The first one, plant cells have cellulose cell walls while animal cells don't. This is true because if you are seeing the image of the plant cell means there will be a double wall. Okay, so there will be a cell wall in the plant cell, but in the animal cell there won't be any outer wall. So this is how the animal cell will be looking. And this is the first option is right. Then the second one, plant cells do not have plasma membrane unlike animal cells which do. This is wrong because in both plant cells and animal cells, they are having a plasma membrane. So the second one we can eliminate. Then the third one, mature cells, they has one large vacuole while animal cells has many small vacuoles. This is true because in the plant cell, there will be one large vacuole and in animal cells, there will be multiple small vacuoles. These vacuoles and all will be disposing the waste. Okay. So 1 and 3 are right. The answer option C is the right one for the question number 1. And this is the question number 2. With reference to the solar water pumps, consider the following statements. Solar water power can be used for running surface pumps and not for submersible pumps. In solar power, we will be having the solar panels and it will be extracting the energy from the sun, and the inverters and all will be converted the energy to the DC, and it will be get stored in the lithium batteries. Then we can use that power for both operating the surface pumps and the submersible pumps. So the statement 1 is wrong. Then the second statement, solar power can be used for running centrifugal pumps and not one for the pumps with piston. So this is also wrong. The solar energy can be used to run both the centrifugal pumps and the one with piston. Okay, so both the statements are wrong. We can take answer option D as the right one for the question number 2. Then the third one, consider the following. Here they had given some 3 options. Which of the above can be cultured in artificial or synthetic medium? You might have known about the synthesis what we are doing in the laboratory. There will be a petri dish and it will be having some liquid portions which will be having enormous nutrients which will be enabling the growth of the bacteria and fungi but not the virus. Because to develop the virus we will be needing a host. So without host the virus will be in a vegetative state, so it will be not in a live position. So we can eliminate answer option 3 and we can choose A as the right one for the question number 3. And that's it guys. With this note, let us wind up the today's discussion. Let me catch you in another discussion tomorrow. Thank you for your patience. Bye.